Hello everybody and welcome to Introduction to API. As we said before in pre-course session, API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it developed originally by operating system engineers to offer developers to access to operating system libraries without the need to see its code. But in web world, the API used to exchange data between endpoints. The endpoint can be backend server or mobile application connecting to the backend, or desktop application connecting to the backend server, or even front-end application developed in AngularJS or React or Vue and connecting to the backend server. If you have a look at API-centric application, the traditional methods of developing a web application was to develop all the web application, and the application itself, it will generate the HTML for the website, and it all integrated in the same code base. But it's not the case for today modern web applications. Modern web applications use many clients to access the same data. For example, you develop mobile application, desktop application, or even IoT device to access the same data. So it will be very hard if you duplicate your old application logic for every client, and data will not be synced. It's not make sense actually. So they develop API-centric application standards. So the code base and all application logic and data store all in the same place at the backend server, and all clients connecting to the backend server with API. So if you have a mobile application, Android or iOS, or desktop application, Windows, Linux or Mac, or even IoT device, all of them will connect through API to query, add or update data. This allowed the developer to only add the logic and the structure updates to the backend server, not on all clients. About the API standards, first, companies used XML to exchange data and query data from server to another server, and in some standards it's called XML RPC. So if the server wants to execute function on another server, it sends an XML request with the function he wants to execute along with required parameters, and server 2 will execute this function and return the result to original server. But it was so complicated and full of security issues, and it wasn't a standard actually. Every company has its own structure of the XML. So they developed SOAP. They developed SOAP to be a full protocol and the standard for API. SOAP uses XML as a format, and many companies used SOAP for API. For example, Yahoo, eBay, and Google. Google actually dropped SOAP lately in 2006 in favor of REST. Then REST came. REST came to fix the issues with SOAP. SOAP was so complicated and not flexible at all, and has some performance and security issues. So REST rely on HTTP protocol and methods to exchange data in the API. For example, if you wanted to query data, you use GET. If you wanted to create data, you use POST request. So it's more simple and understandable for developers. Also, REST can use JSON or XML as a data format. And lately there is a GraphQL. GraphQL used to query and handle graph data used especially in social data. Okay, let's have a quick look at XML SOAP. This is general SOAP message. It consists of something called SOAP envelope, and this envelope contains header and body. Header contains general information about the message, and body contains the message itself, the data you want to query, or data and a parameter you want to pass. So as you can see, it's an XML structure, but it's so complex to handle. About REST, this is an example of a REST request. It uses a normal HTTP request and it handles HTTP response. In this example, if you have an application built with Ruby and REST API built with Java, so Ruby application made an HTTP request to Java application with method get. He wants to query data, and the REST API will process this request and return the result in HTTP response to Ruby application in JSON format. As we said before, it can use JSON format or XML format, the same, but JSON format is the most common. Okay, let's have a look now at API versioning. Imagine you are a developer and you are developed your own API and you wanted to change how the data work and data structure, or you wanted to edit new fields to the database. Example, change login from username to email or something. In the traditional way, you will modify the backend server to handle the new data structure. But how about the mobile applications that connect to this API? Okay, you will release updates to the mobile application. The user who updated the mobile application will use the API with no problems, but the old users who didn't update the mobile application yet will have problems or even exceptions. So API versioning came to fix this. API versioning mean you have to version your API. Example, if you released version 1 of your API and you wanted to change the data, you release version 2 of the API and release new update to the mobile applications. So the customers who updated the mobile application will use the mobile application with updated version and use version 2 of the API, and all the customers who didn't update it yet will use the old version of the mobile application, which use the version 1 of the API without problems. Okay, so where the version defined? It can be defined in 3 places. First, explicit in the URL. The developer exposes the version in the URL, example api.example.com/version 1 or version 2. Second method is through accept header. The accept header is a header sent in the request tells the API server that you accept this type of data content or structure. So for example, accept application /namespace dot version plus JSON or XML. Third method is through custom header. For example, API-version and the version 1 or 2 or 3. So that's all for now. See you next time.